So I resent when you don't share my enthusiasm, my happy place, the happy picture I'm painting.
So you resent when I don't join with you and share your enthusiasm and join in the happy picture and feelings of possibility that you're bringing.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So, and I'm particularly frustrated when I feel like I'm in a good creative process and it gets disrupted.
So particularly frustrating when you're in a creative role on something and then it gets disrupted by my reaction.
Yeah, thank you. So, and I'm afraid of losing the thread, of not being able to reconnect to the inspiration, and that something valuable will be lost.
So you're afraid that then you'll lose the thread and won't be able to reconnect to the inspiration you had, and that something really valuable could be lost in that process.
Yeah, thank you. It reminds me of being a kid when the grown-ups had all the answers, and everywhere I went, whether it was about religion and church, or about how to be at home, or in particular, really in school, about just having a lot of ideas about maybe how what was being taught, or that there was some other possibility in school, and it was getting this response from the principal and teachers like, you're just a dumb kid, why are you being disruptive, like, you're just a pain in the neck, we're in charge, we know how things work, and like that.
So it reminds you of being a kid, and whether it was at church or at home, and even particularly in school, where you'd have a lot of creative ideas about a better way that things could be, or possibilities that weren't being taught, and you would bring those creative impulses, those thoughts, but the response was always, "You're just a dumb kid. What do you know?" and just shut you down.
Yeah.
And you're just being regarded as disruptive.
Yeah,
By
exactly.
your inspiration was disruptive.
Yeah, thanks. So I regret that my kind of overblown, super excited style when I'm enthusiastic about something is threatening or turn off. I suspect it is to you and probably other people too. And so I think sometimes people may respond to me with an impulse to take me down a notch. If that's true, I regret it.
So you regret that your style, when you're caught up in this passion, is to be overblown or, super idealistic, and you regret if that has an overwhelming effect on people, or whether that I feel threatened and feel like I need to take you down a notch, and maybe other people feel that way too.
Yeah, thank you. So I feel happiest when I can imagine a new thing and just live into it and talk about it like it was the greatest idea ever, like just completely transformational and wonderful, and to vividly create this powerful picture of an amazing future. And I know.
So you're happiest when you feel like you can just live into this bright idea and possibility, and you can just live into like it's the best idea ever, and that from that place you can just create this amazing future.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that it's not going to turn out that smooth, and that any creative process is going to have up and downs and bump up against hard realities. I know that, but what I get in that initial phase of really imagining it is kind of like an emotional charge in my creative bank account that really sustains me through the getting it done.
So you know that there are going to be ups and downs with any project, and what really matters here is that the emotional charge of and excitement and possibility that you see in that moment fills this reservoir that you depend on to see you through the ups and downs, and so you really want that nourished, nurtured.
Yeah, Thank you, especially at the beginning.
especially at the beginning.
Yeah. So here's what I want. So when I'm excited about something and I'm sharing that with you, I'd like three things. One, kind of from
So when you're excited about something and you're sharing that with me, you'd like three different things.
yeah, one kind of from the heart. I'd like for you to just say something about how great it is that I'm excited, that I'm enthusiastic, that I'm having an idea and a sense of the future that's fun and exciting for me.
So first, you want me to say something positive about how excited you are and how hopeful and how creative and the sense of the future that you're bringing. Say
Yes.
something about that.
Yeah, and secondly, then I'd like for you to say three things. This is before you say anything else, by way of critique or whatever. Say at least three things that are good ideas, kind of like from the head, like that where this idea could make sense.
So then you want me to say three things that I like, that I appreciate, that could really make sense, that could really be very valuable about this notion that you have.
Yes, thank you. And then third thing, before offering any critiques or helpful feedback or possibilities I haven't thought about, that you ask for permission to give me feedback or offer critique.
All right, so the third thing is, before I offer any of my great feedback and ideas about, what things you might not have thought of or any critiques that I have, that I ask your permission first. See if you're open.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So how this would help me is in these flights of fancy, supported in that, I believe I can generate a lot of great ideas at times. And obviously, probably the most of them are not going to pan out, but I believe that there will be some that will be valuable.
So how this will help you is that it will support you in really exploring these flights of fancy, and that in them you may come up with some really valuable ideas that we want to implement.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And how it would help us is I would feel really supported in a place that's sort of tender and happy and vulnerable for me, and that would build trust and good feelings between us.
So you'd feel really supported in a place that's tender and joyful, and it would help build trust between us, that I can kind of be with you there and support you there.
Yeah, and vulnerable too.
And vulnerable, in a
Yeah.
vulnerable place.
And, great ideas, given that we're business partners as well as life partners, will benefit us both.
Yeah, and so from that, some of the best ideas will be able to really benefit both of our lives.
Yes, thank you. So I appreciate that when I do have really good ideas, even if you're resistant and I have to fight for it with you initially, that eventually you nearly always come around.
So you appreciate that when you do have ideas that are really good ones and you want to implement, that I eventually do come around and support you in this.
Yes. And I also really appreciate your, voice of reason, your voice of caution, your voice of, maybe have you thought about this, or, what if you did it differently? Your insight and your critiques and your feedback are invaluable and crucial for me, and I really rely on them.
So you also really appreciate my voice of reason, my feedback, my instincts about, I'm not sure, say that one again.
I don't, go ahead.
So you also really appreciate my voice of reason and the critical thinking I do about it.
Yes.
And that is really valuable to you, for me to add that when the time's right.
Yes.
And in fact, you really depend on that.
Yes, thank you. And I realize how much I need your support. And and I feel like, maybe I should be more self-reliant. I worry about that sometimes, but at the end of the day, of all people, I just need you to believe in me and to have the sense that you do believe in me.
So you realize you really do need my support. And sometimes you think you should be more self-reliant or self-generating, but we're partners, and you need to know that I believe in you.
Yes, thank you. And I hope that we can find a better way to include both our styles and strengths, and that we can use them together to manifest, lives that are fulfilling and that are creative and that create the kind of world that we want to live in.
So you hope that we can find a way to utilize both our strengths and combine them and blend them in a way that's really creative and can create the kind of world together that we really both want to live in that brings us joy.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.